Hey, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my co anchor and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Excited. We have so many updates tonight. I can't even believe it. I'm so excited. So many good things
I
happening.
know. That's awesome. I know. It
Yeah.
was fun gathering info today to go, wow, there's some
Yeah.
stuff happening for sure.
Every once in a while, we're like, crap, what are we going to talk about on the update show? We don't have anything. And tonight, we're like, oh my God, we have so much stuff.
So much stuff. Yeah, awesome.
Love it.
So it is the Wednesday night updates show. So this is our live stream happening on YouTube and on Facebook. But of course, we will also upload it over to our podcast later on tonight. So nobody gets left out. But want to say hi to JR and Innocuous and DB in the chat. And I'm sure many more to come. We apologize for being late. It was Tech's fault. Maybe my fault. Mostly Tech's fault.
I don't know. You and technology are, I don't know.
I know.
And you're not jiving lately. I don't know what the deal is.
It's so frustrating because it's not that I don't know how to do stuff.
No.
Right? It's just that Tech has been, I know. It's crazy.
Not cooperating. That's what.
Yeah. So, yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. But before we get to that, how are you doing?
You know, I am doing really well. I had a funny doctor's appointment today. I have been seeing a neurologist because I have this weird numb spot in my leg. And anyway, I asked him because, you know, I had COVID at the end of November and I still cannot remember a damn thing. My memory is so shot and has been ever since I had COVID. And first of all, they gave me that test, you know, the one that Trump took. Do you remember that when Trump took that and he talked about all the words that he could remember and stuff? Well, I took that test today, which was really funny. And it turns out I don't have dementia. I scored very high.
Excellent. Good work.
Which was nice. But I said, you know, sometimes I forget words. I can't get out what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And they very sweetly said, you know, COVID is really hard on people and you might just need to be really kind to yourself and just recognize that you haven't fully recovered yet.
Oh.
He and his student were both like, we've seen a lot of stuff with COVID and it's really hard on people. And, you know, we don't think there's really anything wrong with your brain other than COVID causes this huge inflammatory response in your whole body, including your brain. And you might just need to be really kind to yourself and like start writing stuff down.
That is so sweet.
Really sweet. It was very sweet. It was not. Yeah. Well, I said, you know, I forget things all the time. They're like, maybe you need to start carrying a notebook and writing some things down. And, you know, I do. Here's my problem. I have all that stuff in my phone, but I actually have to remember to write it down. That's the key part that I'm still struggling with a bit.
So you have to remember that you're probably going to forget.
Yes. See, there's the problem. Yeah. So, but it was actually really sweet. Like they were just like, you just need to be kind to yourself. And they said, we want to see you back in 3 months. And if this is still a problem, then we're going to look again. But, you know, he said, you know, COVID's only been around for a little more than a year. He said, we don't know yet what this is going to be, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it was very sweet. It was a very kind way to address me. And sometimes specialists, they're not that nice.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well,
it turns out
glad they were.
I passed the test. I passed the dementia test. So good news.
Good.
At 45, I don't have dementia.
Good. And they were nice, so I don't have to come down there and kick somebody's ass. So
yeah, they were totally nice.
All's well that ends well.
Cool. Yeah. Well, and I think they made a good point that I'm being hard on myself and I had a weird disease that nobody knows anything about yet and that I do need to just be kind to myself. And he said, you know, you'll get it back. And they said, maybe I should try some of those memory apps on my phone and work on recall and stuff like that. And that maybe I could get some help that way. But I don't know. It was just not the kind of appointment you generally have with a very blustery and too busy specialist. So it was nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad. Well, we have lots more chatters. I want to say hi to Cranky and Angie and Elizabeth. Elizabeth's to bed early and poured a glass of wine just to be here. So, Elizabeth, we're so glad. I wish I had thought to pour a glass of wine.
Elizabeth, that is me
I'm
too.
rocking
what the hell?
I got a diet cherry limeade from Sonic.
I have a diet 7-Up. Not very exciting.
Yeah, you know how I roll. and of course Moonbeam as well. So want to make sure we welcome everyone along. I'm
Yeah.
well too. We tomorrow our daughter's first game of the season, her first softball game. So we were the parents in charge of team dinner tonight. So
Oh.
yeah, so that was kind of fun. We actually took team dinner right to practice so that they could just eat right there and get home and, you know, go to bed. Not that they will, but,
Nice.
be ready for their game. So it was fun. We did Costa Vida style salads. So we brought
Um,
enormous tortillas. We even got the foil containers they go in. And, you put your tortilla in, you put beans and rice and meat in the bottom, and then you put your salad on top of that, and then guacamole and pico. And they have this awesome cilantro ranch dressing that you can buy
ooh.
at Costco in their
Hmm.
refrigerated dressing. So anyway, that's what we uh, that's what we took, and yeah, it was great. It was awesome. Nice to see all the girls. Very exciting to see their season starting, and yeah,
Yeah, they actually get to play this year. I'm so happy
yeah.
for them. 'Cause they lost their
And
whole
I have a
season
show
last
and
year.
tell. I know, it was
What is that?
so sad. We got one game last year before the season
Yeah.
canceled. So these are some funeral flowers I've been processing into
Mm.
pendants.
Ooh, pretty.
So I'm trying something different. I usually pour them into molds, but I bought bezels to pour them into this time. So there's the
Oh,
heart-shaped
neat.
one, there's this long one, there's Lisa one, and there's a few others, but so these are
Oh,
from our
pretty.
cousin Becky's funeral for her daughters and sisters and nieces and, all the girls
Yeah,
in that family. So anyway, I'm really, really happy with them and with the way they
they're
turned out.
really
So
pretty. They will love that. How
yeah,
cool.
I can't wait to give them to them. So yeah, so I've been working a little bit on that, but I've been really busy lately. I feel like I haven't had a chance to create much and it's bothering me, but not enough to,
Mm.
get my ass down to my studio, but it is bothering me.
I hear you. I have not done any beading in a week, but it's because the hotline that I work on, I have been so freaking busy that
Mhm.
that is all I have done for a week.
Yeah.
But I have all these beads on my desk waiting to become something. It's
Nice.
time. It is time.
Right. It doesn't stop me from ordering molds and paper, and I have a ridiculous amount of stuff that I'm not doing something with, so that's the next step.
Right.
So I hear you.
That's the
Yeah.
addiction. That's the problem. Buying craft stuff and then not doing anything
Mhm.
with it.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
problem.
very familiar.
Yes, very much so. So, hey to RJ and to Jeannie. Good to have you here. So,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff has gone on. So, there was a court date for the Daybell case on, was it on Monday? It was on Monday. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to remember where I am and what's my name. Yes, it
What
was
day is
on
it? Yes, it
Monday.
was on Monday. Yeah.
Yes. Where am I? And so it was kind of interesting. So there was a few things to be handled before they even got to court. The prosecution defense had filed a subpoena for Heather Daybell. So there was supposed to be court on Monday and then court again on the 22nd. So what
Right.
they're hassling over right now is the defense's petition to move the trial. And even though it seems like the prosecution hasn't really been against moving it, they have been against the tactics of the defense because they, in their words, have been not actually, they've had studies not conducted by professionals. And
Yeah.
so
They're not following the rules.
yeah. So that's
What?
been, I know, right?
Means and prior
That's
not following the rules? I'm
right.
stunned.
Doing things stupidly. How can that be?
Mm,
No.
mhm.
So before they even got to court, so Means had filed a subpoena to appear for Heather Daybell for the 22nd. So Heather Daybell is Chad Daybell's sister-in-law. And you guys might remember we discussed this, it's been several months ago, but she is
Mhm.
a local leader in the Mormon church in the women's I want to say department, which seems weird, but in the women's section, which is called the
It's
Relief
called the Relief
Society.
Society.
Yeah, and she's
Mhm.
like a stake relief society president. So that is that it's his sister-in-law. sister-in-law. Anyway, she had sent out an email that went out to all of the ladies in that stake. So, that's a few hundred people
Mhm.
to about this case, kind of about their heartbreak over it, creating some distance between them and Chad, and just really reiterating that we're heartbroken. His kids are heartbroken. We don't want to. We don't have anything to do with this. Those kinds of things, and also some churchy things that she had learned from this experience, yada yada, right? So they've brought it up before in court that they're pissed that that happened because they feel like that is using the influence of the church to taint the jury pool.
Right, right.
So,
They
yeah,
they accused that of being her of that being like a planned thing she was asked to do or something.
right, right, which I don't believe it was, but anyway,
No.
whatever. So she had sent that
I
out.
think she was just trying to make some distance, like, dude, this is my brother-in-law, also have nothing to do
Mhm.
with this, and this is horrible. Which I would want to
Yeah.
do that. I would totally want to do that.
Mhm. Yeah. Which
Maybe she'll
I
go
don't
back to using her maiden name. I would if I were her.
right. Maybe her husband will be on board. We're changing
Yeah.
our names
Yeah.
for good. Anyway, so that's was part of what was happening. So they were discussing that. The reason they were at court initially was because the prosecutor had filed a brief to compel the defense to turn over some documents that they hadn't turned over regarding going to court on the 22nd. So they had said that they had not provided them with the study, that the most recent study. So they have done two studies. As you guys know, we talked about this last week. We played the recording of my daughter having this study done upon her. And the
Mhm.
the one in the fall, the prosecutor is basically arguing strongly against because the it wasn't done correctly. So there has to be in these when a witness is called that is a professional witness, right? Or called because of their help me, their
Well, their
credentials.
credentials as an
Yes.
expert
Is
witness.
thank you, expert witness. They have to provide their credentials essentially, and in this instance they hadn't been provided. And
Right.
then even in the survey that was turned in finally, this was the first one. The prosecutor said by labeling Shat, so Shat is the one of the people that is a part of this. There were two people. I know, yikes. Uh, there were two people that were named.
This work done by chat is chat.
Yes, there were two people named Shat and one other that they were trying to preclude from being witnesses, being professional witnesses or expert witnesses because they're not. So, of course, Means writes a big response to that. That's a big garbled muckety muck mess. And
Mhm.
basically, the prosecution comes back and said, look, even by your own hand, you're saying not professionals. They called it an informal survey, Means did. Well, the prosecution is not going to allow an informal survey to be used. So he says by labeling the Shat survey as the Shat survey. That's that's
He's
right.
full of shade. He is full of shade. I love it.
As an informal survey, and Ms. Shat as a lay witness, the defense on its own has disqualified the survey and precluded Mrs. Shat from testifying.
I'm going to say it again. This chat is chat. God.
So that's
Oh,
what we're talking about. So they were asking for more information than they had received and saying, these aren't even expert witnesses. We are totally against them even being a part of this.
yeah.
So before the hearing can even get started, they take Means and the prosecutor and the judge to a private room. And that takes forever. And we wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And finally, the prosecutor comes back just to let the court recorder and prior know that they also need to come to the private room. So then we wait for a billion years.
Oh,
And they
forever.
finally come back So they're having this big closed room discussion, which is kind of a
Well, and it's
weird
now on the
area.
record because the court
Yes.
reporter was in the room.
Mhm.
Interesting.
That's on the
Interesting.
record. But so they talk and talk and talk and talk. But they finally come back and the judge says that he is canceling today and the 22nd.
Yeah,
It's all
vacating
out.
these hearings.
Vacating these hearings, they're done. And that what they discussed today is on the record but sealed.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
what the hell? So there's lots of theories, you know. Scott
Mhm,
Reich's theory is that this likely means that something big is about to happen, that either more charges are coming that would, make this whole conversation fairly moot, or that a confession, a deposition is coming, that somebody's just
mhm.
about to roll on the other.
Yeah.
I will say that coming back, there were 4 people then in the room, right? We had the judge, we have Means, we have Pryor, we have the prosecutor. The judge looks like he always does, you know, a little
Mhm,
rumpled but unfazed.
mhm,
And the prosecutor looks like he always does, cool as a cucumber.
mhm,
Means looks upset. He looks
mhm.
rattled. He looks bothered. He also had that elk thing going on behind his head, so he also looked like a deranged elk.
Like a
Uh,
deranged elk. He has got
mhm,
to fix his background. Good God.
so weird. But Pryor had quite the grin on his face. Pryor looked very satisfied. So,
Yeah.
really
He
interested to see. We're gonna see some movement here in the next few weeks. Something is
are
happening.
yeah. Well, and, you can't discount the fact that they just came out just a couple of weeks ago that Tammy Daybell's autopsy has been completed and is not being released.
Yeah,
And you can't help but wonder if that's part of what's happening here.
yeah. So,
If there's some
movement
kind of
coming.
plea, something.
Mhm. Movement on the
Mhm.
way, so very interesting. If you think it's Lori, let me tell you something that might change your mind. The same day,
Yeah. Holy
Means
crap.
trots into court with as one can trot on, Zoom, with
Mhm, mhm.
the marriage certificate that we've all been waiting to see. It's not
Yeah.
been public record until now. Why did he trot
And
this into court?
ta-da, here it is.
Because Lori does not want to be called Lori Vallow any longer. She is requesting to please respectfully call her Mrs. Daybell. That
Well,
doesn't seem to me like somebody's about to roll on her husband.
didn't she start with Mrs. Lori Ryan Vallow-Daybell or Mrs. Daybell?
Mhm. Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan.
The guy that she hated his guts and could
Mhm.
not stop saying awful, shitty stuff about him?
Well,
Why would she
said
include that?
publicly that she wanted to kill him? Yeah.
Yeah. I found that
So
so strange that she
mhm.
included Ryan in there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So,
bizarre as hell. So,
yeah.
yeah, that doesn't seem like somebody that's about to roll on their husband, does it?
No, it doesn't. It does not at all.
Cammy
Yeah.
says, "Mrs. Dumbbell, you mean?" Yeah, yeah.
I said
That
from
is
now
exactly
on.
what we
Well, I we decided to hyphenate it and call her Vallow-Daybell, so we said from now on we're calling her Lori VD.
Yeah, I love that one too. Like, at this point, this is what matters to her.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so stupid.
Yeah.
Just such a waste. Like, your kids are dead, and you're bitching about who's calling you by what last name?
Yeah. Yep.
Psychomaniac.
And
Jeez.
alluding to the court, because Means can't ever not be such a dick, but alluding to the court that it's very disrespectful that she's not
Oh, well,
being
there was
called
some
by her married name.
that constitutionally she has the right.
Yes.
But, there was all this question about she wouldn't really admit which last name she wanted to go by when she was first arrested.
Yeah.
This is all her own freaking fault.
Yeah. Yep.
Trisha says, "Chad gonna roll."
Starting to think so, huh?
Yep.
Makes you
That's who
wonder.
was happy in court was Pryor.
Yep. Pryor
That
looked
makes
like he had just done something. Yep.
yeah.
And Means looked like he had just had the rug jerked out from underneath him. So
Mhm.
neither of them have great poker faces. They could learn something from Wood.
Yeah, they surely could.
I
They
would
could
not
learn a
play
lot of things
poker with Wood. I'd with Means all day. I could kick his ass, but Wood no,
Mm.
because he you
No,
don't
he's
know.
really good.
He's really good.
He rarely cracks.
Yeah. Cammy said Mrs. Day means Bell or
Yeah,
Mrs.
there's one.
Daybell hyphen means. Yeah,
Mhm.
makes you wonder.
Certainly does.
Anyway, that's what's happening. So I think it's interesting because back, what feels like forever, but was only about 6 weeks ago when they tried to get the prosecutor thrown off of the case.
Mhm.
There was, oh boy, there was.
Yeah. We
So
do have to
funny.
talk about
I-
this
I'll
as well.
try and I'll try and finish my thought, but now I'm just so distracted. Uh, way back when they were trying to get him yanked off, I don't know. I can't remember. Never mind. Let's move on.
Okay.
This-
You're so distracted by this
yes.
picture of Chad's giant forehead. What in the
hmm
hell? This dude, like half his face is forehead.
hmm
Mhm.
Yes. So we have posted. If you're not watching, you don't know. So I'm going to tell you. We got a hold of the newspaper announcement of their wedding announcement. Tamara Douglas and Chad Daybell to trade
Mhm.
vows Friday. So this
Yeah.
is them, what is this, late 80s, mid
Mm.
80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super 80s, the outfits, the hair.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
what the hell? Chad looks like he's had some sort of forehead extension, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
is there
Yeah.
a plastic surgery that he's got like a cone head?
If he really goes as anything other than Frankenstein for Halloween every single year, there's a
Right.
miscarriage of justice.
There really
Not that
is.
there haven't been money, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this is just sad. I mean, here's
hmm
Tammy
Yeah.
turning her life over to this freak
hmm
so that he can later murder her. It's
hmm
just, it's very sad. But looking at Chad, you're like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can see it. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Not cute. Yep. So
No.
there you go. There's Chad. There's Tammy and the head.
Yeah. And the head.
Yep.
So bad.
Yep.
Yeah, look at
Awful.
that fake smile. That fake smile, boy, we have seen that a lot just through
hmm
court and stuff. He always has that creepy little smirk on
Yep.
his face.
Yep.
He looks like Butthead's older brother. Yes, he does.
DB said he skipped a 5 head and went straight to Billboard.
He surely did. I mean, that is just weird. He looks like he's like somebody's grabbed the top of his head
Yeah.
and just pulled it up a ways. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Go gadget head. I don't know.
yes, yes.
If we're in the 80s.
Yeah. If we're in the 80s, that fits. That does fit.
So there you go. You are welcome. So
We knew y'all had to see that picture.
Oh yeah, we couldn't pass that one up. So there you go. The only other thing I will say is that the other argument that the prosecutor made about the document or the witnesses he was trying to get thrown out, he said it was replete with errors, and that just killed me. That killed me because what has means filed that is not replete with
Right.
errors?
This was an appropriate for court way of saying, say it. You know what you want to say.
What am I gonna that this is shit? What?
No.
Oh,
Make
Grammarly is
your recommendation.
$29.99. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much Wood's way of saying that, I think.
Yeah. It's not that hard. Not that hard at all.
Didn't Rob
Yeah.
tell Summer that they had more evidence against Lori than Chad?
Yes. Trisha,
Yeah.
you are my soulmate. Thank you. She just took me back to my initial point that I got all sidetracked on when you put up this horrific picture.
I'll take it down so you can speak.
My point was that, yes, when we heard that recording, we know that Wood told Summer, who is Lori's sister, that he felt like Chad was the mastermind and that Lori would do well to help them, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Chad and his attorney look at that and go, well, hell, maybe,
We better
and
get to moving.
then after that, that was 6 months ago that first statement
Yeah.
was made, 5 months ago.
Right.
Lori hasn't rolled. Lori is not going to roll on Chad. She's not.
No.
So Chad's either going to take his lumps with her or he's going to roll on her. And it
Yeah.
might not help him as much as, I mean, he's got a lot coming down the pipe. So,
I mean,
it may
come
not.
on. The children were on his property. Let's
Right.
get real here.
There's only so much you're going to be able to plea away at this point.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. Means did
It
go to
is.
law school. I believe he went to law school in Utah. I looked it up one day. His
That says a lot.
mhm. Everyone has to someone has to have the C student
Yeah, that's true.
professional in every field. We've all had doctors that we wondered,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Not saying, but I'm not saying otherwise. Yeah. So there you go. That's what's going on with the Daybell case. I will, of course, keep our finger on it tightly. I put out
As
feelers to see if anybody I knew more than me. Not really. No one's talking. So we're just going to wait and see. But
Yeah.
Lori has now officially been in the Madison County Jail for a year and a few
Yeah.
days.
I wonder if they're just waiting for the day they can transfer her to prison and get her out of there.
Right. Oh, I'll bet. I'll bet. So we do have some interesting updates. So, Kristi, I'm going to ask you to talk about the Kendrick Johnson case. This is really good news for his family.
Ding, ding, ding. Wonderful news. So if you remember the Kendrick Johnson case, this was 8 years ago. He was 17 and he was found upside down in the mat in Lowndes County High School in January of 2013. If you remember, his death was ruled an accident. Like somehow he just got stuck in there and died. He was 17 freaking years old. Like he wasn't strong enough to get out. They said there was a shoe underneath him and they thought maybe he had slipped in there to try to get the shoe out and got stuck. And then, he was in there a few days before anybody found him. Well, his family has not believed that bullshit from day one, which good on them because he's a big, tall, 17-year-old, strong, athletic kid. You cannot tell me. You and I had this conversation when we read about this, thinking about like if this had happened to your son and about how strong he was, he would have been able to inchworm himself out of there. Like this was so off. So Kendrick Johnson's parents have been fighting since 2013 to get his case reopened. And so the initial autopsy ruled positional asphyxia. But they did have another autopsy conducted that his family hired. And he said that his death was unexplained, apparent, non-accidental blunt force trauma to the neck. Well, you don't do that to yourself falling down in a mat, do you?
No.
Yeah. So finally, they have been fighting and been turned down by federal investigators several times to try to get this case reopened and to look at this autopsy and look at, what else could have happened because they did not investigate at all. This pisses me off. They just went, oh, yeah, he fell in there and died. Okay, next. They just didn't care at all, which is horrible. What this family lost and what this young man lost. So now federal investigators have finally granted the request to reopen this case and reinvestigate it. And so Kendrick's dad, Kenneth, says, we're not asking for any favors. We're not asking anybody to lie for us. We just want the truth to come out because it has so clearly not come out yet. So they do have an investigator working with them. And he is ready to really get going and see what they can figure out. But his injuries, this second autopsy show that his injuries this is murder. Someone did this to him and threw him in there. I'm sorry. I don't think that was a big surprise. He fell. So, like the big, like wrestling mats, if you ever had those in high school, and how they would be all rolled up and standing on their end. They found his body down inside one, like down in the middle where there was an opening in the middle. And so underneath him was a tennis shoe. And so the theory was he climbed down in there to get the shoe and got stuck. And if you hang upside down long enough, it'll kill you. And that's what killed it. But
There's so much about that I don't understand.
No, me either.
Because I did competitive gymnastics in junior high and high school. And we were on those mats every day. And there's not enough space inside of one of those, even if it was turned on its end, to fall down inside of. Like they wrap the ends of those really tight. And believe me, I've wrapped those mothers a million times. But you wrap those ends really tight and then they roll them up and they weigh a ton.
Yeah.
I can't imagine in a month of Sundays that it would be possible for there to if a mat like that, let me try and say it better. If a mat like that was wrapped so loosely that there was enough room for a whole human teenager, a big kid to fall down inside of it, there's no way it was standing on end.
Right. It would have come unrolled and just come apart.
Unless something, if there was something in the middle that it was wrapped around, like a body. That
unless somebody rolled him up in it and maybe multiple somebody's. The parents really think that this was perpetrated.
There's no way one person.
More than one person.
Yeah, there's no way one person did this. Those mats are really hard to manage. And I just can't fathom one person. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. The weight of, first of all, the kid, because he was a big kid, as well as trying to roll up a mat with him inside of it and manhandle it and stand it up. There's no way one person did this. No.
And the fact that the investigators just immediately jumped to that is such bullshit. It just makes me really angry that they've put this family through this and didn't recognize immediately that this was not a normal situation. Yep. I mean, so I'm very happy for them.
They didn't want to.
Yeah, they just didn't want to.
They didn't want to have to deal with it. Yeah.
They just want the truth. They just want to know what happened to their son.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I totally believe that he was murdered. He was hit in the head with something that killed him, or in the neck, and then
he had a neck injury that killed him
to hide him. Totally. Yeah. But the story,
and it was a long weekend, if I remember. It was a long weekend, like a 3-day weekend or something. And so his body was in there for a few days before he was found.
Yeah.
And he'd been missing, and then he was found in there. So, they were trying to cover up what they did, and throw. Yeah. I don't know. How lucky can you get that the police are this inept? That they're like, oh, yeah, he must have fallen in there and died.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Case closed. Case closed.
I've been mad about this case for years, so I am thrilled that this is happening. This is great news.
This is great news. Great news for his family, because as we know, with the case we introduced on Monday and, so many others, just because someone dies doesn't mean that the police and the prosecutor are going to look at it in the way that the family sees it at all. They are so quick to write off deaths as suicides, as accidental deaths. And lots of deaths are suicides and lots of deaths are accidental deaths, but those have gotten to be easy answers
but this is a young black man, and we cannot not say that this could have been racially motivated, because we've seen so much of that.
Yeah. The death as well as the lack of follow through afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of that, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say also the George Floyd trial is moving forward. Their jury selection has begun, although there's some shenanigans going on to try to stop that. But so far, that's happening.
Yeah.
Also, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, a judge said the charges against him are bullshit and threw them out, and he cannot be charged for what happened. I am very, very happy about that, because that was a tremendous miscarriage of justice. I'm sorry, but if somebody breaks into your house in the middle of the night, guns a-blazing, you have the right to defend yourself. That is the truth in any state in this country.
Yeah.
But, when you're a black man, then it's not.
Apparently
it's taken a long time to get this to go through to a point at which he cannot be charged.
Yep.
And I'm very happy to see that.
Absolutely. Yep. And we had some feedback from the family of Aliyah Wilson, the
Yes,
case
we
that we did
do.
on Monday. And so, Kristi, you want to talk about what we learned from them?
We heard from Aliyah's mom, which was really cool. We love it when we hear from family members. And Aliyah's mom was really appreciative that we covered the case and did say that quite a few of you have visited the Justice for Aliyah Facebook page and, been supportive of the situation. And I'm really, really happy about that and really appreciative. She said, I know you're a professional, and so you're going to want to know, but there were two things that weren't quite right in what you said, which I do love because you have no
Yeah.
idea what it's like to try to get the little details right. So we said that Aliyah's body was hung just steps from her apartment, and that isn't true. She had actually come down some levels from where her apartment was.
Okay.
We also said that sitting next to her body were her shoes and her purse, and that was wrong. It was her shoes and her backpack.
Oh.
Also, both broken windows, both break-ins to her apartment occurred after her death. And
Okay.
there was a police officer who did say that they had a witness that at least one of those was perpetrated by her ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
So we appreciate that. And we are, going to be reporting any updates in that case because there's lots of people
Yes.
getting involved to help them to try to get this reinvestigated, which we're really happy about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we will
So
keep
just
on the trail.
want to say thank you to Aliyah's mama for reaching out to us and helping us
Oh,
out with
yeah.
getting the details right. And, just for fighting so hard for your daughter. It's
Yep.
beautiful.
Yep. And we will support every step of that we possibly can. And I know you guys will as well. On that
Yeah.
note, if you have not watched that case, it was our Monday case.
Yes.
Please watch it. And please, if you're on, please follow through with the instructions we give there on how to get involved, how to help support the family to get
Mhm.
better, to get this case actually investigated. Yep.
Yeah, mom is trying to get this case reinvestigated. So, yeah, go listen and go support however you can.
Yep. Definitely. So there's one other case that's very new and ongoing, but rolling out right now in. Oh, well, let's do this one first, and then I have something else. Let's do this
Okay.
first.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
we have so many things. Okay.
Yeah,
So
there's
I
been a
wanted to
lot.
talk. Yeah. I wanted to talk about Joseph Duncan. You may not know who Joseph Duncan is, but we do because he, in 2005, in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is northern Idaho,
Mhm.
he murdered a family of people,
Mhm.
and then he kidnapped the two children from that family. That was Dylan and Shasta Grown,
Uh-huh.
and he tortured them for a while and eventually killed Dylan. And this was a huge thing in Idaho. This was this
Oh,
huge
yeah.
manhunt, and there were all these updates about where they'd been seen, and everybody's trying to help find them.
Yeah.
And they went into a diner, and some people recognized Shasta on
Yeah.
the TV and got her away from Duncan to call the police and saved her life. So she was
Yeah.
the only survivor in this murder. So he killed four members of her family, and this was in 2005.
Yeah.
So he has been in federal prison in Spokane, Washington. And it's been recently reported that he has terminal brain cancer.
Yep.
And will die before his federal death sentence is carried out. He is refusing chemo and radiation. He's,
Mhm.
what a puke. Totally
Yep.
awful. This was an
Yep.
awful, scary, horrible thing.
Yeah. This
And
happened in Cammie's neck of the woods. She says
yeah,
she'll never forget the Grown family. Yeah.
no. And so very interesting that brain cancer is going to take this dude out. And
Yep.
he's letting it happen. He's not, he has the right to medical treatment in prison and he's not taking it.
No.
So he's going to be gone. And I'm going to say this, but I took some real heat on this Facebook page when I said this, but I do find it interesting. Is it possible that he had a brain tumor or something? And I know that he has a long history of abuse and he's a bad guy. I'm not saying that he's not. I just am always, in the back of my head, I'm always like, why? Why do people do things like this? And so it's interesting to see that he has brain cancer. Like, has he had a problem in his brain for a long time? Doesn't doesn't excuse anything that he did. I just feel like one of the reasons we're in true crime is that
Right, to figure out
question that
why.
never gets
Yeah,
answered, which is why.
yeah, why.
Yeah.
It is an
So
interesting thought,
it's
and
interesting, but yeah, then we won't
yeah,
have to pay for him to the end of his life or to the end of his sentence because
nope,
he's not going to make it.
nope. He'll be out of here in no time, and that'll be an interesting thing. Hospice in prison,
Hmm. It
because
does
at some
happen all the
point,
time.
yeah,
Yep, it happens all the
interesting.
time.
Yep, yep. Oh, it's certainly possible. Yeah, I mean, and of course, it doesn't excuse his crime in any way, but it is
No,
interesting to consider because we're always trying to consider what is going on in people's heads. So,
right.
yeah. Well, before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about a case that's rolling out in London currently.
Uh-huh.
This is the case of Sarah Everard. So,
Okay.
Sarah went missing a week ago, and there has been a huge manhunt for her.
Okay.
And today, they arrested a police officer who they
Oh,
believe is responsible for her death.
and
It,
who is she?
she's a girl. I don't
How
know. I
old?
mean, she's 33.
Okay.
She lived
Just
in Clapham, South London, and she was on
okay.
her way home from a friend's house and just vanished. And
Wow.
they've been able to piece together her timeline enough that they have now arrested a police officer. He was a Met police officer that was off duty at the time.
Oh my goodness.
But just 4 hours ago, they actually released. So it was just today that they actually arrested this officer. And then 4 hours ago, they announced that they have found remains. They aren't
Oh my
verifying yet
gosh.
that they are Sarah's, but they have found remains, and so they're working on confirming that right now.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So
So
very
4 hours after they arrest him, they find remains. So
yeah.
he talked.
Yeah, sure makes you think so, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been on a bit of a crime spree because they were also questioning him about an indecent exposure incident with someone else.
Oh, good Lord.
So the police there are just rocked to their core,
Yeah,
that one of theirs is being held on suspicion of kidnapping and murder
I'm
here.
sure they are.
And now, so get this, he was responsible for uniformed patrolling of diplomatic premises, including Downing Street and the Palace of Westminster, as well as foreign embassies in London.
Oh my
And he had
gosh.
pretty high clearance. Yeah,
He sure did. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And it
Yikes.
looks
Well,
like he may have had there's a woman that's been arrested too, and so it looks like maybe he had some kind of an accomplice. Not totally sure on that. So there's lots we don't know, but what we do know is that it's possible that her remains have been found and that this officer has now been arrested on suspicion of her death. Or at
wow.
least her death if the remains are hers. So anyway,
Hmm.
it's brand new, it's just unrolling, but her name is Sarah Everard, if you guys are interested in
Sure.
following it. But I just
Okay.
was reading about it right before the show and thought I'd bring it up since it's coming forward uh,
Sure.
right now. And honestly, good on them for being willing to arrest the right guy, even if he is one of theirs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Scary.
Yeah. 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 So much. So, and lots of love to her family. What an emotional day for them.
Yeah. So much.
Now, if the remains are not hers, more unanswered questions, and
Right.
also
Well,
for her family, I really hope that's not the case.
or does that mean he's had more than one victim?
Yeah, interesting. But it is the timing of it is just too much for me that they arrested him earlier
Mhm.
today and then within a short amount of time they find remains.
Yeah, that sounds to me like he talked.
Sure does.
He's trying to get a deal. Ugh,
Yeah.
what a creep.
Yep. And they haven't released his name. That is one interesting part, I guess, or maybe it's
Mhm,
not, but they haven't released his name as of yet.
mhm.
But
Hmm.
yep.
Well, we'll
So,
keep an eye on that.
yeah, she disappeared on the 3rd. So
Okay.
anyway, there we are. So at any rate, we'll keep an eye on that one as well. But hopefully that's a solved case, a quickly solved case.
Yes, I hope for her family's sake at least.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
No.
So that is where we're at. That's what we've got tonight. We will be back tomorrow night at 7 Mountain Time for the Psychic Hour. And of course, if you haven't checked out our cases this week, be sure and do so. We did have, of course, the Aliyah Wilson case. We had the our synopsis of the Mormon bombings Netflix
Mark
special
Hoffman. Hmm.
about Mark Kaufman. And then this morning, our case that broke is the case of Mildred Old Crow. And that sounds
Yeah.
like a really old lady's name. It's not. It's a
Mm-mm.
child who would be 8 now who is not, but disappeared when
Yeah.
she was 6. And that it will be an ongoing case for us as well. That one is just
Yes.
starting to wind through the courts, and we'll see. It's happening on a
Hmm.
Crow reservation in Montana, and we don't know how much exposure we'll get to it, but we're going to try and keep you
Yeah.
guys updated on everything that happens with her case. So, thanks you
We
guys so
sure
much
are.
for being here. Have a good night. Have a good day tomorrow. Take good care of yourselves, please. Nobody's going to do it for you, so you got to step up. And we'll be back. Oh, and Cami,
Yes.
thank you. We appreciate you so much, and I'm so glad you got your mug. Everyone who won in our 50,000 downloads drawing got their mugs this week. They got True Crime
Yes, they did.
Paranormal with the toe tag mugs. So,
Perfect.
all righty, you've been listening to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Take care, guys.